I remember the first conversation we had. I guess I was like 20. And you were,
Ever?
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Because this reminds me of it. Because
How
it was
old are you
about
now?
Newton South.
Oh, okay.
Cafeteria. I'm 55.
55 too. I'm 55.
Okay,
as well.
so we must have both been around 20. When you started
21.
comedy, you were 21?
Yeah.
All right, so I must have been the same age. But we talked about fight because I found out you were a Taekwondo guy or something. Is that what you fought?
Yeah.
And I asked you about fights. Like I said, do you have skills for fighting in real life? And you said, well, there's just some things you know that are they put you way at advantage with people that aren't fighters. Like you don't wait for the fight to start. You told me. Like you told me you were in a cafeteria once in South, and some kid came up, and people think they're going to get to do a preamble. They think that there's going to be a whole hey fuck you, and now they think there's going to be like
Yeah.
And as soon as you knew he was there to threaten you, you just punched him in the sternum, and he just went down. He was like, "Hey, man, you," and then he just. Anyway, so that was the first time you'd explain that to me.
Yeah, that could have been avoided. I thought about that one for a lot afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
you think you jumped the gun?
Sometimes you jump the gun because, like, there with great power comes great responsibility.
Sure.
That guy
Sure.
he had no chance. He was just bowing up.
Right.
He was just a knucklehead.
Yeah.
I should have probably let him slide.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that's how you've changed too. Because
Yeah.
you were really wired then. You were tightly wired.
Well, we're talking then about like me being 15 or 16.
That's right.
Yeah, it was.
And a trained fighter at
Yeah.
a young age.
And it was
So-
also like you got this thing you want to try out. It's like you got a fast
Sure.
car, you want to hit the gas.
Yeah, of course.
So let's see what happens.
Of course.
This guy.
Yeah, of
Because
course.
people, in high school, you're kind of trying out bowing up on people.
Right.
It's
It's a pretty nuanced thing to ask a kid that age to know, like how to back off. I don't need to fight you.
Yeah. No, it's hard. It's hard for kids. I just watched this horrible brawl today that someone had put up on Twitter in a high school. It was terrible. Where like all these kids were fighting in the hallway and teachers were trying to separate it, and this one kid threw this kid to the ground and punched him unconscious, and the kid went into a seizure. And I'm like, oh God. This is, and it's awful. And a lot of it is people that just don't know how to fight, and they don't know how to defend themselves, and then they're fucking flailing wildly at each other. And this one guy knew something, and he threw this guy to the ground and punched him out. It's fucking school's so dangerous. It's so dangerous because kids are just starting to get testosterone. They're just starting to become like strong and like almost a man.
And out of lopsided too, because there's other kids who it just didn't kick in yet. So they're tiny.
Yeah. Well, these kids there was none of that. They were similar sized, but it was just awful. It's just awful.
There's also weird energy in school for kids that age it's intricate. Like I remember I saw a lot in my high school fights that were between friends because there's always somebody who wants people to fight. There's always somebody who doesn't fight but wants a fight to happen. Everybody wants to see it. So you take a kid who's trying to get some kind of status with a certain group and they go, why are you friends with that guy? Like that guy's a pussy. And they actually turn him on. They want to see if they can make a kid fight a friend of his. I saw that so many times.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of kids that were tough but had a head, smart kids who were I remember this one kid, his name was Chris, and his friend Doug was pushed into like I'm going to kick your ass. And Chris could have beat Doug, but he just started crying because it was too much.
Yeah, pressure.
And he didn't want to fight his friend, and he could hurt his friend real bad. And he's isolated. Everybody's around him. He's like now the kid, the fag, and he just started crying. And then everybody starts laughing at him because he's crying. Oh. And now he's mad. And he just beat Doug's face to red. It was just red. It's like he painted his face red.
Oh, no. One of the most humiliating fights I ever got into was there was never even a punch thrown. It was me. I was 14, and there's this kid in the locker room. And I don't remember what words were said, but we were standing in front of each other. And this is before I even was really into martial arts. This is one of the reasons I got into it. This kid grabbed me in a headlock, threw me on the ground, and was going to punch me in the face, but then stopped and decided not to. So I was just going to let you up. And I was like,
Oh,
I was
no.
like so humiliated.
Oh, no.
I was so humiliated.
It would have
And
been
then-
better if he hit you because then you look a little bit tough for taking the punch.
Well, at least, I mean, he was so unconcerned that I could do something to him that he just let me up. And then I like would avoid him. Like in school, like if I would like look down the hallway and like I would open up the door to the outside breezeway and I saw him on the other side. I'm like, oh, I got to go around this way. I got to keep away from that guy. I was terrified of him.
Horrible.
Terrified of him
There
for
was
like a
a
full
kid,
year.
When I was a senior, I never really got in fights. I just didn't. It just didn't happen to me. I was kind of bigger than a lot of kids my age, so I guess that, I just didn't, and I didn't have a lot of conflicts with people. So I never really got much into fights. I just sort of slid through, And then at senior year, I don't remember, junior or whatever, but I was high a lot, and I was in the library, and I was laughing. I was making a lot of racket in the library. I used to get yelled at all the time for being loud in the library. And this kid who's a sophomore, little kid who was like this on me, kind of skinny and wearing a leather jacket, he goes, "Hey, shut the fuck up." Because he was just annoyed. And the worst part is he was right. Like I knew in my head, I'm being annoying.
Yeah.
But I said, fuck you. Like, and I'm just like, it's status. I'm a senior, you're a sophomore. Fuck you, shut up. And he goes, what, fuck me? And I go, yeah, fuck you. And he comes over and he goes, you want to go out right now? I'll fucking kick the shit out. He's smaller than me, but he's wiry. And I'm like, I'm scared. I was terrified. Because I don't want to fight this kid. Even if I win, I'm not going to like go unscathed. I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
I don't want to be punched in the face. I don't want any of this to happen. And he's standing above me and he's like, "You want to fucking go?" And I was just like, "No, I don't want to. I don't want to fight." And he's like, "Then shut the fuck up then." And I was like, and my friends were so ashamed of me. And for the rest of the year, I was terrified of this little kid scare. I did an episode about it in my show, and where there's some high school kid threatens to beat me up, and I back down and I apologize to him. Because I don't want to get. Yeah, that kid really, he haunted me for a long time.
It can happen.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah, and he's somewhere now,
I got beat up on a bus by a girl when I was 14.